Apophis, also known as Apep, holds a significant place in ancient Egyptian mythology as the Great Serpent, the arch-nemesis of the sun god Ra. In the ancient Egyptian belief system, the sun was embodied as Ra's great barge, which sailed across the sky from dawn to dusk before descending into the underworld. However, during its nightly journey through the darkness, Ra faced a relentless adversary in the form of Apophis, whose sole purpose was to slay Ra and prevent the sunrise. On Ra's celestial ship, various gods and goddesses, as well as the justified dead, were depicted at different times, united in their mission to fend off the menacing serpent. Ancient Egyptian priests and laypeople engaged in rituals aimed at protecting Ra and thwarting Apophis. Through these ceremonies, a connection was forged between the living, the deceased, and the natural order established by the gods. It is important to note that Apophis was not the object of formal worship or veneration in the way other gods were. Instead, he played a central role in tales and myths that revolved around his relentless efforts to plunge the world into chaos by destroying the sun god. Apophis was associated with various natural phenomena, including earthquakes, thunder, darkness, storms, and death. At times, he was also linked with the god Set, who shared attributes related to chaos, disorder, storms, and darkness. Notably, Set originally served as a protector god and was portrayed as the most formidable defender of Ra's ship, actively resisting Apophis's assaults. Although there may have been earlier stories about a formidable serpent adversary, Apophis is first mentioned by name in texts dating from the Middle Kingdom of ancient Egypt circa 2040 to 1782 BCE. The concept of Apophis as a dangerous force persisted through the late period of ancient Egypt 525 to 332 BCE, the Ptolemaic period 323 to 30 BCE, and into Roman Egypt. One of the most well-known texts featuring Apophis is the Book of Overthrowing Apophis, which includes rituals and spells aimed at defeating and vanquishing the serpent. This text is categorized among the execration texts, which were written to accompany rituals that denounced and cursed individuals or entities, and remained in use throughout ancient Egypt's history. Depictions of Apophis varied, with the serpent sometimes portrayed as a coiled entity, while other depictions showed it dismembered or under attack. A notable representation is found in spell 17 of the Egyptian Book of the Dead, in which the divine cat Mao triumphs over Apophis with a knife. Mao, a personification of the sun god, guarded the tree of life, which held the secrets of eternal life and divine knowledge. Mao played a pivotal role in defending Ra, embodying the protective aspect of the sun god, especially during the New Kingdom of Egypt. Egyptologist Richard H. Wilkinson's book The Complete Gods and Goddesses of Ancient Egypt features an image from the tomb of Ur-Kau at Deir el-Medina, in which Mao is depicted defending the Tree of Life by slicing into Apophis's head with a blade. The accompanying text, derived from spell 17 of the Book of the Dead, narrates how the cat's actions safeguarded Ra, and explains the divine creation of the cat at the dawn of time, according to the will of the gods. In terms of mythological origins, the most prevalent creation myth of ancient Egypt involves Aten standing upon the primordial mound in the midst of chaotic waters and initiating the act of creation. The god Heka, representing magic, assisted in the process, using magic to bring order out of chaos and usher in the first sunrise. Apophis makes his earliest appearance in this myth, where he had always existed, dwelling in the dark waters of unstructured chaos before the emergence of the primordial mound. Apophis became antagonistic because the act of creation introduced duality and order into the world. Prior to creation, everything existed as a unified whole, but afterward, distinctions such as water and land, light and dark, and male and female emerged. Apophis became the enemy of the sun god Ra, because the sun symbolized the first sign of the created world, representing divine order, light, and life. Apophis's aim was to swallow the sun god and return the world to a state of unity, plunging it back into darkness. In an alternative version of the creation story, which involves the goddess Neith, Apophis is portrayed as a subordinate being created at the same moment as the world itself. In this rendition, Neith emerges from the chaotic waters of darkness and spits some of them out as she steps onto the primordial mound. Her saliva transforms into the giant serpent, which then escapes before it can be captured. In this scenario, diversity arises with the act of creation, and Apophis's objective remains the same: to revert the universe to its original undifferentiated state. Apophis's enduring presence in ancient Egyptian mythology highlights the profound symbolism of light versus darkness, order versus chaos, and the eternal struggle for the preservation of divine order against the forces of chaos and destruction. The theme of order versus chaos is a recurring motif in ancient Egyptian literature, prominently featured during the Middle Kingdom period. This motif is evident in several renowned works, such as the Admonitions of Ipuwer, which contrasts the chaotic present with a golden age in the past, and the Discourse Between a Man and His Soul, which explores this theme on a more personal level. It is not surprising that the Apophis myth emerged during this era, as it encapsulates the essence of this motif. In the myth, the gods, representing forces of order, call upon humanity to join them in defending light against darkness, life against death, and to maintain the concepts of duality and individuality against the threat of unity and collectivity. In Egyptian culture, individuality held great importance. Every deity, from the major gods to lesser spirits, possessed distinct personalities. Autobiographies inscribed on stelae and tombs were intended to ensure that the accomplishments and identity of the deceased would be remembered for eternity. Apophis, in contrast, embodied the Egyptians' deepest fears: darkness, oblivion, and the loss of one's identity. The Egyptians believed that nature itself was infused with divinity, including the sun, which represented life. Eclipses and cloudy days were sources of concern, as they were seen as signs that the sun god encountered difficulties in bringing his ship back into the sky. Apophis was always the cause of these problems, having temporarily gained the upper hand over the gods on board Ra's celestial ship. During the latter part of the New Kingdom, the Book of Overthrowing Apophis was compiled, drawing from earlier oral traditions. This text featured rituals in which the most formidable deities were invoked to combat the Chaos Serpent, targeting various aspects of his existence, such as his body, name, shadow, and magic. Rituals involved creating images of Apophis in wax, cursing them, and then destroying them through stabbing, trampling, and burning. Despite the gods' unwavering power, they required assistance in their ongoing battle against Apophis. The justified dead, who had earned a place in paradise, were often depicted on Ra's celestial ship, actively contributing to its defense. Spell 80 of the Coffin texts even allowed the deceased to partake in the defense of the sun god. Set, as mentioned earlier, played a prominent role in driving Apophis away with his weapons, while the serpent god Mehen also defended Ra. The Egyptian board game Mehen is believed to have originated from Mehen's role aboard the sun barge. Living individuals also played a role in the struggle against Apophis. People gathered in temples to create wax images of the serpent, which were subsequently spat upon, burned, and mutilated. Cloudy days and storms were considered indications that Apophis was gaining ground, and solar eclipses were particularly terrifying, seen as omens of Ra's impending demise. However, the sun god consistently emerged victorious, thanks in part to the people's prayers and anthems. Each morning, as the sun rose anew, the people understood that they had contributed to the god's triumph over darkness and chaos. The first act of the priests in temples across Egypt was the lighting the fire ritual, symbolically reenacting the first sunrise, defiantly opposing Apophis's desire to extinguish the light of creation and plunge the world into darkness. This was followed by the second most crucial morning ritual, drawing the bolt, in which high priests unlocked the doors to the inner sanctum of the temple, awakening the god to join in the defense against the Great Serpent. These rituals persisted through the late period and the Roman period, underscoring the belief that humans played a crucial role in the cosmic order. The sun was not merely an impersonal celestial body, it was the vessel of the sun god, whose daily journey ensured the continuation of life. The people's devotion and participation were vital to ensuring that they would witness the sun's return each day. His rituals conveyed the eternal struggle between good and evil, order and chaos, light and darkness. They emphasized that human beings were not passive recipients of divine gifts, but active participants in the functioning of the universe. However, with the rise of Christianity in the 4th century CE, this worldview underwent a transformation. The ancient model of humans as co-workers with the gods was replaced by a new paradigm in which humanity was deemed fallen and unworthy, dependent on divine grace and sacrifice for salvation. The sun lost its distinct personality and purpose, becoming one of the creations of the Christian God. Nevertheless, Apophis' legacy endured in Christian iconography and mythology, where he merged with other deities and figures, such as Set and the benign serpent Sada, to become Satan, an adversary of God who sought to disrupt divine order and sow chaos. This transformation reflected the enduring impact of the ancient Egyptian myth and its themes of cosmic struggle and the importance of human agency in maintaining order in the face of chaos.